Vermonters to understand the stakes of what's happening right now at the Department of Justice. And I know many Americans feel in this moment that they can't trust government, and I certainly understand why they might feel that way. Democracies have long struggled with rooting out public corruption, and as long as there is public trust, there are those who will betray the trust for their own power, for their own profit. So how do we combat corruption? How do we ensure the responsible use of power? Those are the things that I think about a lot and that my constituents ask me about. One of the ways that we do that is by entrusting that we have independent, ethical prosecutors to uphold the law, no matter who is in office. And I want to acknowledge and thank everyone for being here today. I especially want to acknowledge Mr. Terwilliger, who previously served the people of Vermont and the nation under the Reagan administration in various roles, including U.S. Attorney. So thank you so much for being here. Mr. Terwilliger, do you agree that one of the most effective ways to fight corruption is to establish and maintain a group of nonpartisan prosecutors who are dedicated to the rule of law?
I certainly agree with that, ma'am, and if you'll allow me just 30 seconds. When I was the U.S. Attorney in Vermont, I had no idea if my assistants were Republicans or Democrats. They were people who believed in the rule of law and applying the rule of law. And if one of them had ever come in and said, we should go after so-and-so because or on account of, I sadly have to tell you, ma'am.
If I could, just because I only get 5 minutes.
Please, let me just finish, 10 seconds. I sadly have to tell you that culture at the Department of Justice changed completely in the last 10, 15 years.
So the whole idea, so to stay with what you're saying, the whole idea behind the Department of Justice, right, is supposed to be enforcing the law without fear of favor, correct? And that's what the American people want. That's what Vermonters want. I hear that from them all the time. And that's what our Constitution actually demands. So when a U.S. attorney stands before a judge and say that they are there not to represent the people, but to represent a president, understandably, there are alarm bells that start ringing. So we're 2 months into this administration. So far, we've had a U.S. attorney publicly state that his office is composed of President Trump's lawyers, not lawyers for the people, not lawyers supporting the Constitution, but President Trump's lawyers. We've seen political purges of nonpartisan career civil servants because they did their jobs, including those who were involved in the January 6 prosecutions. And we've seen a shocking quid pro quo involving the indicted mayor of New York. So you said so yourself. It should not be about partisanship within the office. And I applaud you for that. So thank you for being here. I'd like to turn now to Professor Besky. Professor Besky, under the legislation offered by the majority, specifically Section 1456C, the Attorney General could represent a federal official in any case subject to removal under the statute. Is it true that this provision could make the Department of Justice the personal counsel for the president, the vice president, or for federal officials in state criminal or civil cases? Is there a danger there?
There is certainly a danger because typically the norm is that there's a separation there.
Does that terrify you to contemplate that?
It certainly doesn't help me sleep at night.
Okay, all right, I'll take that as in the affirmative. I do think that it goes strongly against what Americans want, what Vermonters want. They want to make sure, without fear or favor, they want to make sure we're doing this in a way that is not corrupt. But there's, in fact, what I think another important key element here, which is how the public perceives those attorneys charged with enforcing the law. So how important, again, to Professor Besky, how important is the public trust in those who enforce anti-corruption laws?
It's extremely important.
Tell me more.
It is, if the public doesn't have trust in our federal justice system, in the justice system, we don't have very much left.
It doesn't hold together, does it?
It doesn't hold together.
It doesn't hold together. If the people don't believe that justice is blind, anti-corruption efforts are doomed to fail. And authoritarians thrive in that environment where there is no public trust. So what my Republican colleagues have done for many years, and in this committee as well, they've attacked prosecutors, they've attacked judges, they've dragged public servants down here for baseless, in my opinion, baseless depositions, sent letters full of baseless accusations, blasted theories, many of them hateful, all over the internet. And what happens then is that Americans become incredibly skeptical, cynical about there is any such thing as a justice system without fear of favor, and I think that should scare all of us. I understand, Mr. Chair, I'm over time. I yield back.
I thank the gentlelady from Vermont. I'm now going to recognize the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Onder. 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all the witnesses for being here